Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com, or go to our website at head2headpinball.com.
Welcome everybody to Head2Head Pinball Podcast, episode number 10. I'm Martin, and with me...
It's Ryan C, with half a voice.
Ryan C, I know your voice. Hopefully it'll make it through the podcast, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just have to do lots of talking this time.
Exactly. This is your chance to shine, Marty.
I hope I live up to it.
Yeah. Now, just a quick announcement to get us started. We are now on Google Play, so you can listen to podcasts on Android through Google Play, but only if you're in the US and Canada, I believe. And we couldn't even submit it, but I got a friend in the US to submit it for us, and we've been approved. So if you use Google Play to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us on that now.
Fantastic. Let's hope you do.
Yep.
We've got lots of news, and for people that only really met recently, as you and I did, we do spend a lot of time together.
We do. We saw each other 3 times this week.
Again this week, and I think it was 3 times the previous week. So, anyway. But yeah, lots of news. We're going to talk about some slight J-pop news, a bit of news on Alice Cooper, Dialed In Collector's Edition, the next Jersey Jack machine that's coming out. We're going to announce the competition winners. And there's a lot of mail that we need to get through this week.
Yeah, and you'll find out who reigns supreme in the Rosstown Pinball Arcade in me and Marty's head-to-head battle for glory.
I kind of glossed over that.
Well, don't give it away, Marty. All right, let's start off with some pinball news on Zombie Yeti and Deep Root. Now, we missed out on a little bit of a joke last week because for some reason I thought that the word root, colloquially means the same thing in the US as it does in Australia, but I found out that it doesn't. It's only a joke for Australians.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the mail.
Okay. All right.
We do, because someone actually does a definition of it for us.
Okay, yep, sure.
But yeah, it's very funny. But
right.
Zombie Yeti, or as he now likes to be known as Yeti, posted on Pinside because obviously, the news of Deep Root Pinball and the possible making of J-Pop's machines has obviously got some airtime, and he felt that enough commentary had been made that he needed to step in and give his opinion.
Sure, and you can read this one, Marty, because I'm not going to waste my voice on
just
on
save your voice.
Today.
Okay,
Yep.
so if you do want to, it's at pinside.com. He says, okay, I'll chime in against my better judgment, which never stopped me before, right? First, I want to reiterate that I actually wish John the best for the sake of his family and for his pinball legacy. As such, I think the moniker of Zombie should be given to John/Zidware from this day forward. Just call me Yeti, because I'm donating the zombie. Well, there you go. I want to thank everyone who has been supportive of me through this, the 11th iteration of Zombie Zidware's rebirth. Seriously, you guys are incredible, and it's humbling. And while I want everyone who paid for the games to get them, I'll assume they've written that off or sold their spot to Pinball Podcasts who shall not be named. Don't know who that is.
No idea.
No idea. So I have to say, at this point, if they are to be made, they won't be made with my blessing or my art. I've been asked to sign over all copyrights free and clear as if I was fully compensated. I simply refuse. I'm not a dick, but an insult does trigger some dick-like behaviour. In calling the lawyer, posting here about this, just to name a few. And listen, there are millions of talented artists out there that could kill a fresh take on a pinball art package. I'm nothing special, I just work till I don't hate something. So I'm sure they can find someone and pay them accordingly to use the work. I love the ridiculous nature of this saga, but I'm really getting tired of it. I've got better projects to focus my energy on. Yours, Yeti. That's interesting.
Now, it is interesting because if they do plan on, some people might get excited at the thought of a Magic Girl working, but without the zombie Yeti art or the Yeti art, it's not really going to be called Yeti.
I know.
Without the zombie Yeti art, I mean, does it still hold up? I mean, that's why people like it, right? People fell in love with it for that reason, like they fell in love with Ghostbusters for that reason.
Absolutely. And so I think he's obviously being really humble by saying, I'm nothing special, I just work till I don't hate something. Oh man, he is actually special. The stuff that he has done for pinball is really special.
And he's just getting started, so I'm sure he wants to put it all behind him, but I definitely understand his... Well, I mean, he kind of almost controls the project, so to speak, unless they try and put his art there without his authorization. But I'm not sure if he's going to sue them for that. But This Week in Pinball released a little short interview with... it wasn't an audio interview or a video interview. It was just kind of like just typing back and forth. And they said that they won't reveal their plans, but they, going to make their announcement very soon. And then they will go away for a couple of years and then come back when the project's complete. So I don't know. I guess we'll wait a couple more weeks until we hear their official announcement, whatever it's going to be.
Maybe they'll wear him down every week over 2 years saying, please, can we use your art? Please. I don't know. But look, one of the big appeals of Magic Girl was the art. I mean, I know the lights look great and the layout is, a little bit funky as well, but the art is what is the first thing that draws you to that machine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the pin sold out without the artwork being revealed simply because it was just such small quantities, but that's what kind of got people excited. It wasn't the extra deep cabinet or the the custom laser cut hinges. So yeah, I think it's a wait and see with that. I think we've probably talked about it enough over the last 2 weeks to I don't think it needs that much airtime until there's actually something more to talk about.
Yeah, and as you said, if they're going to sort of go into hiding for a couple of years, then that'll either make people not talk about it or talk about it more.
Yeah. It'd be funny if they come back after 2 years and be like, hey guys, we did it. Everyone's just like, haven't you heard? Like, the latest innovation in pinball is this. Like, no one cares about that.
Yeah, I know. We'll see.
Talking about really cool art, segue.
Yes. Nice.
Someone found some art of the Alice Cooper pinball machine in the Rue Morgue magazine, which my understanding is a horror magazine. I didn't know that such magazines exist, but it's funny because I think apparently it was there for a couple of weeks, and they didn't announce it, say, hey guys, there's a sneak peek of the art in this magazine. They just let it kind of run its course, and someone found it and posted it on Pinside. And what do you think, Marty? I
love the art direction they've taken with this. I think it looks fantastic. If that's what they're going to do, I mean, it's only really showing the sidebox art, and if we think about Rob Zombie, the sidebox art was fantastic. The playfield less so. So I hope that this art style that they're showing here, and we'll link it in the show notes, that the picture translates to the playfield as well.
Definitely, it looks very dark and very spooky, shall I say?
Yes.
We haven't really had a very dark playfield in a while, have we? Like, I thought Game of Thrones would be that like dark green playfield, and it's the opposite. It's like a bright map.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if it translates well after playing Fathom and Smart again on the weekend. I'm not sure if dark playfields suit pinball, but I mean, you can have light colors and it still looks, have that dark feel to it, if you know what I mean, dark in the horror sense. But yeah, we saw with TNA, like, it was the same artist for the playfield and the cabinet art and the translite, and there were 3 different styles. So it will be interesting to see if it's cohesive with the playfield. Charlie said from the very beginning that this isn't a music pinball. This isn't a greatest hits like AC/DC or Kiss and Aerosmith, where you're kind of playing through the songs. This is Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle, and it's becoming more apparent when you look at the art. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, like this isn't isn't a Photoshop of him singing on stage.
Yes.
This is him with a beating heart in his hand. You know.
Yeah.
This is it's like the pin that always maybe wanted to make, where it's a haunted castle, like a
Yeah.
and he's the narrator.
Yeah.
And it happens to have music in there.
So-
That's from him.
That's right. So it is a haunted house theme, and there's lots of characters in this house, and he just happens to be one of the characters in there. I like this.
Yeah, and as I said, he said this from the start, but it didn't click until I saw the art. I was like, okay, you guys are really telling the truth. It really isn't going to be a music pinball. It's a haunted, nightmare castle pinball.
Yeah, but that illustration they've done of Alice Cooper itself is just fantastic.
Yeah. We should definitely know who the artist is, but we didn't do enough research.
We didn't. We've got a lot to cover. We didn't quite get that. What I did take, so there was a couple of scans, and I do know that you can go and actually purchase like an e-version of the magazine. But the snippet I took out...
You don't need to, right? Because someone's just taken a picture of the appropriate page.
Yeah, but there's actually a full article as well.
Okay.
There is a full article. And the only snippet I took out of the article, and it's probably out of context, it says, but with Alice Cooper's Nightmare Castle, we wanted to push those boundaries even further, which means not only will you hear a lot of cool Alice music, but you'll have a monster-filled adventure game unlike anything that has been made in pinball before.
Yeah, Charlie's been pumping up his own pin, which, he seems like a very humble guy, but he's saying that there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and they increased the bill of materials, so they had to adjust the price. I think it's going to be $250 more, and I'm not an expert on how much things cost, but I mean, if that translates to 250, I don't think Charlie's the kind of person that would increase the bill of materials by $20, and he says, oh, well, I've got to charge $250 more. It might actually have $250 more, worth more of things in there, and he will make the exact same amount off this pin that he did off his previous pin.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is $250 a lot of stuff for pinball? I don't know.
I don't know either. But again, and that's what we think when we looked at the pricing for Total Nuclear Annihilation. People were predicting that would actually go at a lot higher, and the quote was that there's money left on the table. But maybe Charlie looks at this and says, right, the total cost of building this machine plus my whatever percent margin he wants to make on top of that equals whatever the retail price is. So for this, he's saying, right, my bill of materials has gone up $250, so therefore the recommended retail or whatever it is goes up the same proportion. He's not there to say, well, what will the market tolerate for these machines? Maybe he just says, I'm happy to make a certain amount of margin per machine.
Sure. And what Charlie's been doing from the get-go is generating goodwill for the Spooky brand, and it almost couldn't get higher. I mean, not everyone loves their machines, but people don't have horrible things to say about the quality and bills or the customer service or the ordering process with buying from Spooky, as they do they might have with Stern or JGP or anyone else, and the fiasco with Alien and all those other people. So hopefully this just continues on the upward trend for Spooky.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was listening to the Eclectic Gamers podcast today, as I know you did as well, and they were talking about Spooky, and it was an interesting thing that they said is that they've almost become, let's say a bit untouchable, because they are that home company in a small town making good, like it's the real American story. So a lot of people don't really want to criticize them, because Charlie's a great guy. We've met his family. We've now been told the story through that movie that they released. You just want the best for Spooky.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm part of that camp that thinks that Charlie's a really nice guy, and I don't have anything bad to say about him with my email communications when I had some little issues with America's Most Haunted, like the CEO or whatever you want to call him of the company, the owner. is just replying back and forth. 5 emails within 10 minutes. You can't really get that anywhere else. But I think people do criticize the games plenty. Even Charlie even says himself. Some people say that Rob Zombie have told me to my face that it's the best game ever, and some people say that it's the absolute worst game they've ever played. To his face. So I think people do criticize him, but if there's anything to say about him as a person, the way he runs his business, I've yet to hear it. So maybe there is something, but I don't want to speculate and start rumors or anything like that, because I don't think there could be anything, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's just global praise for him. And look, we've talked about it before. You've owned an America's Most Haunted. I've not owned either, but I've played America's Most Haunted a lot, and I've played Rob Zombie a lot. And, the criticism I have on that is they're good new games for a new boutique manufacturer. I'm hoping with Alice Cooper's, whatever it's called, Nightmare Castle or whatever it's called, that they do manage to get it to that next level up that competes in quality and design and features as its contemporaries.
Yep. A quick funny story. When I first saw America's Most Haunted, there are two things that I said in my head. What I said, I'll never own this game because that logo is, I'm sorry, it looks horrible and unprofessional. And my opinion on that hasn't changed too much. I think I don't think they're ever going to change it, but it just looks like something you doodle on a piece of paper and you're like, okay, well, that's my logo now for a company that accepts millions of dollars, right? I'm used to it now, so I don't really care. The other thing is I thought the ghosts looked really cheap and nasty, the 3D printed ghosts in the middle. And then when I bought the pinball machine, because I'm a hypocrite, I didn't really care. It's just I just think it looked kind of cheap, like with the frowny face kind of drawn on. But I don't know, maybe some people have the same opinions as me and they're not a hypocrite like myself, and they don't buy the machine because of certain things. Some people said that the chicken looks like poo on Rob Zombie. Have you seen, on Rob Zombie, the cup of chicken?
Yeah, I know exactly.
Someone said it looks like a cup of poo.
Yeah, not sure I can see that, but I can probably understand why people would. But it comes back to they are a boutique manufacturer. I don't think they were going for the Jersey Jack premium quality with an absolutely packed playfield. They wanted a nice, simple game, and I know that Charlie said, particularly with Rob Zombie, before it was Rob Zombie, he wanted something that was, a simpler game that was harking back to, the 80s Gottlieb style, and that doesn't lend itself to having a packed playfield.
Yeah, I need to say some more good things. It sounded horrible. I just lay it on them. And
would you like me to edit it out? I can edit it out.
No. Leave it in there. Leave it in there.
Of course we will. But look, he knows, and they are a startup manufacturer, and we obviously wish them the best. I just really want Alice Cooper, Nightmare Castle to just blow us away.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. What other news have we got, Ryan?
Why do you have to make me say this?
I do.
There was you really have to search for it to find this thing, but there was a. We're going to talk about this last week, but our podcast went over, so we had to cut it out. But there was an accusation from Ben Heck about a week and a half ago that Homepin has, I'm not sure if you want to use the word, copied without asking or borrowed the Pinheck design for the Thunderbirds pinball machine. Now, it's not super technical, but basically it was the Pinheck system was open source and for a while, and it was on Ben Heck's website, and everything was there, including the 3D files. You could almost build your own America's Most Haunted if you wanted to, if you had the know-how, and then a whole bunch of files got pulled, and one of them was kind of the framework for the Pinheck system, which allows you to have like a high source system and the kind of the base of a pinball machine.
Right.
And Ben saw the video of Thunderbirds loading up, and then it was kind of scrolled through the high scores, and he was like, "Oh, that looks familiar." And apparently, Homepins kind of use the same font, which was how Ben kind of recognized it. And then Mike posted a picture of the hardware setup, and Ben saw that and said, "Thank you for posting. That now clarifies that you kind of did copy our system." Take it away, Marty.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, look, neither of us are technical enough to know, looking at those things side by side, what they look like. I saw that picture of the board and all the different call-outs to what it was. I have no idea. The whole premise of open source is probably the interesting thing, where if something is open source, it basically means you can use this. But usually what it means is you can use this, but you need to give credit to who you've used it for, or the right thing is to ask people their permission before you use their material.
Yeah, it's usually, there's different, I believe I should know this as like someone who used to, used to design programs, and I've got like a software engineering degree, but it's so long ago that I've just forgotten. But I believe with the whole open source thing, there's different types of open source software, and some is that you can, it has different licenses, like anyone can use it for whatever they want. You can use it, but only if in a non-commercial sense. So I'm not sure what kind of open source license it had, but obviously if it was a non-commercial license, then, someone might be trying to sue someone else, but I think it was more of a, hey, how come you didn't kind of give us credit for the system you're using in Thunderbirds? And it looks like Mike is kind of flat out denying anything, and he said that the software that they, the chipset that he's using, they provide the framework to build this system. But then Ben Hex said, well, why do you have the exact same font as us? That font isn't the default font. So,
well, it's got a different comma.
Okay.
Look, you know what? We don't know either of these people really. But
if the comma don't fit, you must have quit.
You must have quit. Ah, there you go. However, what we know of Mike is Mike calls a spade. So if that was copied, Mike would have said, "Yeah, we did." That's what I think. I don't think he's ever been shy in denying that kind of stuff.
Well, maybe I don't know. I don't want to speculate about that, because he might have actually copied it. I mean, he says he didn't, but maybe he just doesn't want to be caught out. He didn't think he'd be caught out in a lie. I don't know. That's a part of this story that I don't like, because it's more of a he said, she said thing, because I don't know enough about it to form a proper opinion and label someone as an accuser or a liar. So I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, it could just be a splendid coincidence that they started from the same spot, used the same open source, and then just ended up making the same mistakes. Who knows?
Possibly. But I mean, even if you did copy it, I mean, like, I don't know. I've copied so many things in my life that I couldn't be the kind of person who cared, simply because of my background and just cheating my way through school and just copying
wow.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I mean, I did computer science, and I just copied everyone's work, and then I managed. Not like every. I still knew something, right?
Right. Okay.
And then I got a job. I didn't copy in exams or anything. I mean,
Sure.
Just like when you have to write a program, I mean, 80% of it is the same. Anyway, and then I got a job, and then I was like, oh, wow. The reason why I was copying is because I actually don't like being a computer programmer, and I quit after 11 months, started my own business. So as I said, I'm the wrong person to be upset about copying someone's work, because I'd be just a massive hypocrite.
Yeah,
there you go. Something about Rise you didn't know.
There you go. We probably didn't want to know. But look, I think at the end of the day, if this was, copyrighted or patented technology, then it'd be a big problem. But it really is. It's open source, so maybe they started at the same base and they took different paths and just ended up on the same spot. I don't know, but it's come out. Mike's had an opportunity. He said no, they didn't do it. Let's just move forward.
Let's move forward into someone that is taking a totally different path than other manufacturers, and that is Jersey Jack. And people in the US have finally started to receive their dialed-in collector's edition.
Yes.
Now, what is the collector's edition, Marty?
Oh, you always ask me this because you know I don't know the difference between these machines.
No. What was the difference? I mean, what does it represent? I mean, there's the
This is the
standard
best
edition. There's that limited edition,
and then
the collector's edition is that one step above for the elite of the elite.
Absolutely.
And I think it was. No one knows if it was planned. I asked Jack that to his face. I said, "Did you plan to make a collector's edition, or was it just a knee-jerk reaction to the Super LE from Stern, and you saw it sell out, and he kind of dodged the answer, and
right.
So we'll never know. But it was $12,500 US, and I think it's 18.5 here in Australia, and it just had a bunch of extra stuff that the limited edition didn't have, like the radcals.
Yes.
They're ridiculously. It's meant to be ridiculously, but ridiculously.
Right. Okay.
Awesome decals, which is just. It's almost like you're clear coating the cabinet without actually clear coating it. You just kind of stick on these awesome stickers on the side of your cabinet. What else does it have? It has custom cut side rails, which I don't think was a listed feature, but they added it in. A custom topper. What else does it have? Really cool.
It's got the edge side rails. Did you mention those?
I just said that.
Yeah, I'm not listening. I'm trying to find the pictures.
Yeah, you get to have lunch. You get a jacket. You get to have lunch with Pat Lawler, I think, before next expo, which is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah.
If you're in Australia, you don't get anything like that.
You can fly yourself over.
You can fly yourself over, or they'll just Skype you in
for a sandwich with Pat.
Sandwich, yep. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just people that. I mean, you said it yourself, Marty. You like to get the best of the best.
Yeah.
So, would you have, if you were in on a dialed in, would you have spent 18.5, or do you think that's a bit too much?
Having played the limited edition, for me that probably would have been enough.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not in the market for a dialed in. As much as I love it, it's just not something that I'm connected to want to purchase it. I'm waiting for whatever the next machine is.
Ooh, what could that be? Are we going to segue to that?
We really. Do you like what I did there?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So, we've speculated before on what the next machine from Jersey Jack is, and a lot of people have. Everyone said that it's Pirates of the Caribbean. What we do know is that whatever that machine is, it is going to be at Expo.
That's right. We kind of said that it's. Did we say that it was going to be at Expo? I can't remember if we actually said it publicly, but we got told it was a very good chance to be at Expo, but we got actual confirmation from Keith Johnson. It was actually in retaliation to someone, because there was always the joke because Wizard of Oz took so long to come out, and then The Hobbit after that took so long to come out. And the joke, which I totally got sick of as well, is, oh yeah, I guess we can look forward to seeing number 3 in 5 years' time, and number 4 in 10 years' time, and they pretty soon after Hobbit they brought out Dialed In, and in retaliation to someone cracking a joke, he says, considering we're debuting our 3rd new game in 4 expos, I think we can safely drop the 3-4 years gag now. Maybe you can tell us our next game is a Stanley Music joke too. So it's a good way to get information out of Keith Johnson, is just
bait him.
Just bait him, and he'll just try and troll you, which is good. So that's interesting because we're 99.9% sure it's Pirates of the Caribbean, so we'll get to see that game in, I don't know, 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah, and so, I mean, there's not much that we know about it. We've said before that the rumour that we heard that it was a very packed playfield. There's talk about the fact that it's not going to have, Johnny Depp doing the call-outs, but...
Lies.
My prediction right now is I reckon Johnny Depp doing the call-outs just because of my call-out to Johnny Depp last week saying how much of a fan I am. He's heard, and he's now going to do the call-outs to Pirates of the Caribbean. What do you reckon?
Marty sent him an email and just a bit of fan mail and say, Johnny, I love your work, and
Yep.
you know, I'd love to buy a Pirates of the Caribbean pinball machine. Would you be up for the call outs? And he said yes. So
He said yep.
definitely-
So you watch. If it comes out and they say, and Johnny Depp's doing the call outs, you can all say, hey, Martin from Head to Head Pinball, he's the one that called it.
Yeah. And there's rumors that, I mean, we talked. I told you the other day, if you're going to watch a Pirates film, just watch the first one, because that is easily the best, and it's a bit of a downward spiral from there. But number 5, the latest one, I reckon was pretty good. We're getting some mail in saying that this machine will be an all-encompassing pinball machine that will represent all 5 movies. There is actually 5. A lot of people think 5. I thought there was 3 or 4, but yes, there were 5 pirate movies.
Does that mean I have to watch them? Because, you know, when I knew that Walking Dead was coming out, and, well, I think it was, people correct me, but it might have been a couple of seasons in, and I thought, I don't want this pinball to come out and ruin all the things, because I'm probably going to like the pinball. So I did. I watched all of, I think it was the first 2 seasons of Walking Dead, just so nothing was spoilt when the machine came out.
It's so stupid though, because the theme immersion in Walking Dead, I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic pinball machine, but you literally have a couple of scenes like CDC and the bicycle girl. That's it. I mean, you don't need to know anything about, you know, there's no spoilers in that.
No, I know. Well, I mean, the fact that they had the bicycle girl mode, whatever, which was such an insignificant part of the series. Well,
I actually forgot what it was. I remember playing it and my friend was like, that's the bicycle bitch. I'm like, what are you talking about? Remember that chick who was like half the body? I'm like,
half the body.
Why is she a bicycle girl then? I can't remember, but she's
I
a
can't
bicycle
remember
girl.
either. But that was her. Maybe there was a bicycle nearby, or she was run over by a bicycle. I don't know. Anyway, what I'm hearing is...
It's going to be some pretty serious bicycles. Chop you in half.
But anyway...
Spikes.
So, but I have to watch all these 5 movies before this machine comes out.
Because, you know, Jersey Jack has good theme immersion, right?
Well, he does, actually. You're absolutely right. And there's going to be video footage as well. So I might as well watch the movies, even the 5th one, which you've said is terrible.
No, the 5th one's pretty good, I said.
Yeah.
The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are very average.
Right, okay. Oh, well, we'll hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to give my recap. But speaking of Expo, so when is that? How many weeks away is that?
I don't have it. I think it's the 10th of October.
Yeah, so it's only a couple of weeks away.
You can edit me out.
That's all right. It's only a couple of weeks away. It doesn't matter when it is. I just want to know what other speculation do we have about what's going to be at Expo?
Let's do a proper Expo predictions like next week or something.
Okay, that's a good idea, and then hopefully I'll have an idea myself.
Okay, it is on Wednesday the 11th. So next week will be the 2nd and then the 9th. So we got 2 more episodes to do before Pinball Expo.
Okay.
But we'll probably do the predictions one on the 2nd. Who knows?
Well, the other thing that's been announced as well is that after Expo, Jersey Jack himself is coming to Australia.
I wonder why he would come to Australia directly after Expo, Marty.
I know. So on the 21st and 22nd of October, as a special guest of Mr. Pinball in Australia, Jersey Jack and Jersey Jack Jr. will be coming out to Australia, and they will be launching machine number 4 in Australia.
Triple J, Jersey Jack Jr.
Oh, it is too.
Yeah. So
yep.
The venue is yet to be announced yet. I think he's trying to find a venue that will hold enough people.
Correct.
Because the dialed-in event was huge.
Yes.
But that venue apparently isn't available on the days they want. So keep your eye out on the Mr. Pinball Facebook page, but we will announce it here as well, because there's absolutely no way that we won't be there, because it's exciting. Because I had to fly to Expo last year to see certain pinball machines, and whatever this pinball machine is, if it is Pirates of the Caribbean,
it's Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
we get to play. We get to play it here in Melbourne. So I actually got a call today from a friend in Queensland, and he's already booked his flights down on that weekend. Doesn't matter what day it's going to be, because he's going to be here the whole weekend.
Yeah.
Just to see the new machine. So
well, if you think about the dialed-in launch, it was on one day, and the only problem with that really was that so many people were lining up to play dialed in for the first time. A lot of people only got to play one ball, and then they had to get to the next person in the back of the line. So by having this time over 2 days, and that's what Wayne from Mr. Pinball wanted, he wanted it over 2 days, so there was enough time for people to actually play the machine, at least get a full game.
Surely with our head-to-head pinball status, we'll be able to get some VIP time on it, like after hours, right?
Oh, for sure. Well, there's going to be a VIP room set aside just for us, and maybe a couple of groupies that don't exist yet. But
hey, you've
got a couple of weeks.
Competition, like VIP passes, right?
Yeah, Wayne, and we know Wayne's listening. Get some VIP passes for that. But some information about that will be up on Mr. Pinball's website, including how to get tickets. There'll also be a competition run on over the 2 days, I believe. And I think that's going to be run by our good friend Lucas at Bayside Pinball Club.
As in a tournament?
It will be a tournament. It won't be an IFPA tournament, we don't think, at this stage, but it's going to be more, because there's going to be a lot more casual players and collectors coming along. It's going to be something that's more accessible for people just coming along and having a bit of fun.
Okay.
So, but we will also, hopefully like we did last time, we did stream dialed in on the Melbourne Silverball League Twitch page, so hopefully this year we get to do it again with whatever machine number 4 Pirates of the Caribbean is.
You might be the first person that streams it. I mean, I don't think they had any rigs set up on the dialed in. I don't think they allowed it, but you might be the first person in the world, Marty, to stream Pirates of the Caribbean, if it is Pirates of the Caribbean.
We don't know that absolutely it is Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Sure.
It is.
And Johnny Depp is definitely doing the voices.
I'm putting it out there.
That was just a guess.
Johnny Depp is going to do the voice, and
if
there's going to be a secret Easter egg where he mentions Pistol and Boo.
If it's Johnny Depp or Captain Barbossa, I'll be extremely happy.
I don't know who that other one is.
Captain Barbossa, Jeffrey Rush.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, you can tell I haven't seen the movies.
Voice. Yeah.
Are you really going to make me watch these
movies?
It. Yeah.
Just watch one, and you'll think it's the greatest franchise, like the greatest pirate franchise ever.
Okay, but...
just like any other ones. You don't need to know anything else except the first one. That's enough.
You know what my taste in everything is like. I may come back and say, these are the best movies I've ever seen.
You definitely won't.
Okay.
This is the best way to describe the 3 movies in the middle. It's like Transformers. It's epic shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? Like, there's lots of stuff going on that they want you to care about, but because there's so much of it, you just don't care at all.
Do you know what?
Okay.
You've
Number one has charm.
You absolutely summed up Transformers, and I'm a big Transformers fan. I wouldn't say I'm like a Transformers nerd or anything, but I remember going into the movie thinking so much has happened, yet nothing has happened. You are just seeing...
You get numb to it.
You just get numb to all this action, and you just think enough. It took... I can't remember which movie it was. It felt like it took an hour for this person to get through 50 meters. He was battling so many things. I'm like, come on, I could have jumped there in that time.
Yeah. But number one has charm, charisma. It's everything you want in a movie. And maybe you won't get the same thing, but because... Gosh, we're talking about pirates a lot. Because it was like a sleep hitter. There was no hype around it when it came out until everyone started watching and saying, hey, check this movie out. It's really good. Whereas if I tell you it's really good, you might, yeah. So, okay, it's not that good. Go and see it, and you'll enjoy it.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
Lower your expectations. I've hyped it up too much.
Okay, so a lot like you did with Demolition Man. So well done.
Yeah, I lowered your expectations so much that you enjoyed it more than you should have.
So what other news? Well, so we talked recently about PAX Oz. on the 27th to the 29th of October. So get your tickets, and we're about to announce the winner of a 3-day pass to PAX worth $165. But the news this week is that the tournament has been announced. And the reason why it's being announced, Ryan,
is because you're running it?
Because I'm running it. It's because I'm running it. And the challenge with this particular tournament is that, you know, a lot of people come to PAX that aren't your regular tournament goers. So we had to come up with a format that was accessible to casual players, appealing to comp players. So in the spirit of the pinball community, I stole somebody else's idea. Did you see what I did there?
You made me feel shit about stealing stuff. No. Oh, Marty.
So look, you know what? I have, but it's a format that we've used previously, but it's actually very similar to the format that was used at the ACT Pinball Comp. And that is that it's a over 2 days, there's qualifying. So there'll be 6 machines set up for qualifying. The top 2 scores on each of those 6 machines on Friday, meaning 12 people, and on Saturday, another 12 people will then go into the finals on Sunday. So 24 finalists, and it'll be a 3-strike head-to-head elimination format on the Sunday.
So what if some guy like Jordan Treadaway plays all 6 machines and gets the highest score on all of them? Is it then like the second and third person?
Correct.
Or is it? Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So, you just put up your scores, as many scores as you can, because you never know. He may do that he'll get the highest score on all of them, which is usually Jordan's form, and then it'll be the next 5 on the other machines.
Will this be an IFBA comp?
Yes, it is. I've submitted it, so it is official IFPA tournament. So you will get lots of points.
Yeah, can I ask a question about this whole IFBA business?
Sure.
And getting points? I mean, you talked about recently that, you know, one of the reasons why you stopped doing Melbourne Silverball League at Pinball Paradise is that you had to change the format and it meant less points.
Yes.
Obviously, there's a format or like a formula to work out how many points you get.
Correct.
Does it involve? So one of it is obviously how many games you play, which is indicative of the format. Is that
correct.
right?
That's correct.
Okay. Does it also matter who you're playing against? Like if you got 500 people on PAX to enter the competition, does that mean that like you're going to get an insane amount of points if you win?
It depends on whether they actually have a rank, an IFPA ranking. And I believe, and Luke Marburg is the absolute best person, and Dan Robar, they know all this kind of stuff. They're the country representatives for IFPA in Australia. But if they haven't done a tournament before, they don't actually have a rank, so they don't contribute to the overall points. So the more people that you have there that have got a high ranking, the more points that it's worth. But on that, there's also the format itself. So some formats are worth more points than others. So the match play format. So match play is like the Papa style, where you've got 4 players. They play 3 or 4 machines, and your first, second, and third, fourth is worth a certain amount of points. That particular format, playing in 4-player, is worth more points.
Okay.
So the head-to-head elimination format that we're doing, the 3 strikes, isn't worth as many points, but for an entry level, very accessible to new players, it's a lot more of a fun format.
Okay.
So
I look forward to it.
Yeah, it should be lots of fun. So that is on the 27th to the 29th of October at the Melbourne Convention Centre. Go to oz.paxsite.com. That's aus.paxsite.com. We are not sponsored by PAX. We just want people to go because there's a great pinball set up there, and we want people to come and play pinball.
Talking about competitions, Marty, we totally weren't talking about competitions, but we've got the results for our PAX competition.
We do. So an incredible response, I've got to say. Like, not only just in the first couple of days, because the premise of the comp was you needed to go to our Facebook page, and there was a picture that I posted up that had a grid of 9 images from the translights or back glasses of pinball machines, and the first person that got all 9 right won a 3-day pass to PAX. But we got so many entries coming through. Not all of them got them correct. And
most of them did.
Well, yeah, but there was a couple there that, you know, were probably a bit of a sticking point for some. But over time, like throughout the week, we just kept getting more and more entries throughout the week, which was fantastic. And so, do you want to announce what the actual images were?
Okay. The images were number 1, Firepower. Number 2,
yes.
Dialed In!
Of
Exclamation
course.
mark. Number 3, Spirit. Number 4, Ripley's Believe It or Not. Number 5, Theatre of Magic. J-pop, baby. Number 6, Pirates of the Caribbean. How did they know what the translate looks like when the machine hasn't been announced, Marty? That's what I want to know.
Well, it's the original Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ah, that exists. That is going to be so weird now when you...
I know.
Anyway. Number 7, Centigrade 37.
Which had stumped a few people, but I think it was, if you knew that we had actually talked about that machine in the episode, that was a giveaway. So these images were a mix of machines that we talked about and some of my favourite machines.
I think everyone got stuck on Firepower the most.
Yes, they did.
Number 8, Tron. Number 9, Whodunit.
Indeed.
And are you going to list all the people that got them right, Marty? In no particular order.
In no particular order. You've got there's James, Lucas, Stacey, Daniel, Jason, another Daniel, and Eddie, Paul, Shane, Michael, Richard, Robert, and Bruce. There was a couple of others, Brett B and John C. They almost got it right, but no, they didn't get it, unfortunately.
Drum roll.
The winner is...
The winner is... It's Brett Goodwin and Naomi.
Yeah, good on you, Brett and Naomi. So,
but it's not a double pass, so...
No, it's not. It's only a single pass. But you never know. Because of the success of this, we may actually get some more passes to give out.
And I think if we do another competition, it'll be... Every person that gets it right will be in the draw. Because he got it right really quickly.
He did.
Like within 10 minutes or something. It was ridiculous.
Well, what actually happened was he actually posted on the Facebook page, and
he broke the rules.
But he took it down because he was driving from, I think he lives in Newcastle. He was driving from Newcastle probably down to Canberra, as he does, I think, every fortnight. And he actually realised that he'd done it wrong, pulled over to the side of the road so he could then email the responses.
Okay. And he did all of that within 10 minutes.
Absolutely. So, well done. So next time we will do a random draw, and we'll have to have someone adjudicate that random draw.
Yeah, no bias here.
No. So, Ryan, what's happened this week in pinball?
Too much again. It's just one of those weeks where it's one of those weeks where I've done so much in pinball that I hardly played my own games. So Wednesday night, you were streaming Wizard of Oz.
I was.
And yeah, it's a good one.
Thank you.
All right. You were streaming and I decided to finally pay you a visit because I've actually never been to Marty's house before.
Right.
And I never seen your pinball setup. I watch you all the time playing pinball. I think it's good, solid, clean fun.
I'm not sure whether any of those words are accurate, but keep going.
Well, this is the thing that people might not know because, sorry, Marty is very, I won't use the word PC or anything, but he behaves himself on the stream and he makes me seem like I'm the disgusting one. If you watch the stream, you will soon notice that Marty is indeed I don't know how to describe you, Marty, but you're not the same Marty. You're two different people. There's stream Marty and there's podcast Marty.
Which one's better?
I like them both.
Okay.
So, yeah, we played some Wizard of Oz. I managed to beat your grand champion score in my second game, which was good fun to your amusements.
Yes.
Yes. Have you? Am I still there?
Yeah, of course you are. I
Okay.
like people having the Grand Champion on my machines. It gives me something to go for.
Yeah, and I think your previous Grand Champ was 1.8 million. I'm not sure if that was with the ball save on or off after I told you to remove it.
It was ball save off.
Ball save on?
I think it was, yes.
Okay, so with the ball save off, I managed to get about 2 million. So not too much more, just 10% more. So that's something for you to aim towards.
Yeah.
And
The way it is, if I get a high score and I get Grand Champion, I don't then go back to that machine to try and beat that score. For me, I just think that's it. And then I hope that someone comes over and beats it, so then I've got something to aspire to.
but you've been inviting guys like James along, and he'll never beat it.
No, he's actually very good. And and he brings Jackie as well, and she's put up Grand Champions on my machine, so it can happen.
And then, I mean, after that score, it was hard to kind of. Well, we did a head-to-head battle because I wanted to see if I can get a point off you after that, and I was victorious. So one head-to-head point for me for the website.
Well done, congratulations.
Yes, and then we decided to play a bit of split flipper, and that was what was really fun.
That was hilarious. But I've got to say that I've done split flipper with a lot of people. We were really in sync.
We were. We tried one game with me on the right and one game with me on the left, and we managed to. I mean, some people can never beat the default Grand Champion score on Wizard of Oz. It's too much. 600,000. We got over that just playing split flipper on a machine that was probably set up harder and faster than a default machine. So
Yeah, it is.
that was good.
It was lots of fun.
We should enter split flip competitions.
Yeah, we should.
Well, I mean, it was all smiles and we're just playing for fun. But I'm sure if we were in an actual tournament, Marty's rage will come out and I might get screamed at.
No, but we were doing really good nudging. We were doing really good slap saves. We were aiming quite well. We had very good recovery skills, considering we were in control of half of the machine each.
Yeah, and I posted up a little clip. If you can check it out on the Head2Head Facebook page, a little 30-second clip that someone made for us, and it was basically us saving a ball, getting an extra ball, and then the ball drained and multi-ball was over, but we managed at the last second, while I was screaming at you, to start another multi-ball during the grace period to continue on both multi-balls at the same time, and that all happened within 30 seconds.
It was so good. The magic moment. So we also... Oh, God, here we go. So we also went to the finals of the Rosstown Retro Pinball Arcade or competition. So I think the previous week was when we had done our qualifying, and Ryan, humbly so, qualified first. Certainly didn't tell me often that he beat me. So then
I gave you an opportunity to concede the point right then and there, but you wanted a chance to redeem yourself.
I did. I went in double or nothing, and we went to the finals on Saturday. And so before we get to the results, now that you've had 2 sessions with these machines, what's your overall impressions now of that solid state era?
I do like the machines. Some more than others. Some seem like a lot of luck is involved. You're at the mercy of the machine.
Sure.
The thing is, I mean, with all those machines, it's the only thing you can play there. So you go from one machine to another, and I know they're very different to a lot of people, but to me, they're the same type of machine.
How dare you?
Well, no, as in like playing DMD machines. You go from one to another, and the flippers feel the same. Like the flippers are very, you really have to nail your shots, especially on like Xenon, for example. Like if you rattle the shot, you're not going to get it up. Now, if there was 5 of those machines and then 5, new Stern machines, I don't know how it would have gone going from one to another. It's too much of a difference. But because they're all well, they're not from the same era, but 80s down to, I think it was Grand Slams, like a wood rail, like I don't know, when's that?
That was Straight Shooter. I think it was 1959.
Okay, yeah, because they're in that era. To me, they're very similar, and as I said, I do enjoy those machines.
Well, the one thing I noticed about you playing, and I did say that to you after, was I was really impressed with how you had actually changed your play style to suit those machines. And the one example I give is a slap save. On a stern, a slap save is very fast. On a solid state, like particularly a bally, you've got to delay your slap save from left to right. And you were doing that immediately. And nudging is completely different on a solid state. And you were nudging perfectly.
I don't want.
You were.
Well, I mean, we can talk about what happened on the day, but I mean, I think I almost like fluked my way in.
No. And I tell you why. I tell you why it's not a fluke. It's because I've played those machines a lot. That's my heyday. I grew up playing those machines, and I've also competed in a lot of tournaments on those machines. And you're as good as any.
Well, isn't a slap save when you slap the side of a machine?
No, it's when you actually, the ball's going down the middle and you do your flippers left-right.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a slight delay on those old machines because they don't move over so quickly. And if you do slap slave too quickly, the ball will actually go down the middle. It won't give it enough time to get to the other flipper when it's in its lower state.
Okay. Thank you for the compliment, Marty. But
it's actually true. It's actually true. And a lot of people were saying to me at the end, why on earth did you introduce this guy?
Is that Stacey?
No one actually said that. It was me that said that because...
well, Stacey did say that to my face at the Argonauts thing. He goes, why did Marty fucking try to introduce you to things? So I'm like, why? Like, I'm having fun. He's like, yeah, but like now I have to compete against you.
Yeah. So I'm happy about that. So how did we go in the comp?
So there was 12 people in the final.
Yes.
So 12... we're trying to weed it down to the top 6.
Yes.
And then the top 6 down to the top 2.
Correct.
And the final 2 battle it out.
Yes.
So I managed to just squeeze. We were in different groups to try to whittle it down to the final 6.
Yes.
I managed to just sneak in. The top 2 went through in each group. I managed to just sneak in. And I think it was more to do with Stu having some bad games.
Right.
Did you qualify first or second in that round?
I qualified first. I think I got 24 out of the 28 points on offer. So
wow.
I absolutely
dominated,
smashed it in. I got 2 firsts and 2 seconds.
Yep, the guy
Absolutely
who won
killed it.
our one got 26 points. He was just absolutely you couldn't beat him.
Yeah.
And it was funny because in the next group it was 2 different groups of 3, and only the top person gets through to the final. It was me, you, and I forgot the guy's name already. Is it John? The guy who got 26 out of 28, and he was in sync with those machines.
He was really good.
And what machines did we play? We played Robot.
Yes.
We played Last Lap and Fathom.
Yes.
Was there any? It was 3 machines or 4?
They were the 3 machines that we played. Yeah.
Now, Zachariah Robot, I've learned pretty quickly. If you don't make that shot and get the robots up, you're not going to win.
No.
If someone else does it,
yes,
you're not going to win.
Correct.
And he got it up on the first ball, and then he got it up again, and he just put up this monster score.
Correct.
Marty, you didn't manage to get them up.
No, I did.
You did?
I did. On the last ball, I did
On the
get them
last
up, but
ball.
I only managed to get 2 of the robots down before I drained my ball, so I completely wasted it.
I got him up twice, and on the last ball it was up to me to catch John on the last ball, and the way that I don't want to bore you with the details of the pinball machine too much, but basically you get 3 balls, but then you get an extra ball, and the time you have on your extra ball is dependent on how well you do on your last ball. So I think it counts down from 24, but it's about like 12 seconds. So I had 12 seconds to make up a certain amount of points, and so I punched the ball. It's up in the top, and I'm just like, come down to my foot. That's the last robot, and it did, and it was a good adrenaline rush. I was feeling it, love there. So then we went to last lap, and I managed to take first on that, and Marty, you got 2 lasts.
Well, I did.
So,
and the disappointing thing was on that last lap. So going into the 3rd ball, I was in the clear lead. And on the last ball, I could have caught both of you, and I got 1 flip and it was over. It was just such a disappointing moment.
yeah.
So
And
I then had 2 lasts. I was out. I was out by that time.
you were out. So the formula was, as long as I would be going through to the final 2, which was pretty exciting for me. I'd ready for my
for
camera.
sure.
You can say the only way it would come down to a tiebreaker is on Fathom if I came last and John came first. So if you came last, I would have gone through.
Yep.
If you came first, I would have come through.
Yep.
So
what did I do?
I'm looking at you thinking like, just get me through, Marty, please.
Yep.
Either beat this guy, but if he puts up this massive score, then just like don't play so well.
Yep.
I didn't tell you that. I wouldn't want to cheat. I was trying to telepathically tell you that by looking in your eyes, and you were determined to beat
I'm
this
pretty
guy.
sure your puppy dog eyes that you were showing me said it all.
And you know, lo and behold, John puts up an absolutely massive
Monster score.
Monster score, all the multipliers, multiple times, and Marty just tried to chase him and does pretty well. But
I came second. Do you know what? I just didn't want 3 lasts. That would have been terrible.
It didn't affect your end score.
It didn't. I got 2 lasts and let's call it a second last.
But then you played off for 5th and 6th position.
Yep, I lost.
And you lost, so you came 6th.
On Superman. Superman is a god-awful machine. It is terrible. There you go.
Awesome.
I've said it. It's
Awesome.
a terrible machine.
It's got the little roving in the middle with the drop targets.
No, nothing good about it.
All right. So I had to play off against John, who, as I said, was absolutely on fire. The 2 games that came first were the only mistakes he made that day. And I didn't get to choose the game. It was randomly drawn, and it was Bride of Pinball. And I didn't know if that was a good, game for me because it's the newest game there by far. And he just, I don't know, he just wasn't feeling it. So I managed to beat him in that game, but it was with a score of about 3 million. It wasn't like I blew up the game and got the billion-point shot. He just was going for risky shots and loops. I'm not sure if he knew the magical, story about
strategy.
Yeah, shoot the left ramp. That's because he wasn't shooting the left ramp. So I'm glad we talked about it in detail in the previous podcast.
Yes.
It got me through to the finals against Nigel, where I absolutely bombed out.
I have not seen a bombing like this in a very long time.
Marty went outside for a little break and he came back and it was over.
I just thought, you know what, I can go out and get some fresh air. It'll take a few minutes, and by the time I got back, it was all over.
The thing is, I mean, even if I didn't bomb, I still would have lost because you saw him playing Xenon. Like, he hit that right ramp like 10 times in a row, like for the 30,000 or whatever it was. Like, he hit the spinner. Like, he had all the shots dialed in. He arrived there 2 hours before me and practiced, whereas I said, I don't want to practice. Like, I'm
You're too cool for that.
Well, I'm not too cool. It's just I got to spend time with the family stuff. I'll blame it on that. I'll blame my family for the loss. But Marcus, the guy who organised it, said to me when I was entering the finals, he said, in a joking way, like, you really don't deserve to win because
it's nice.
Like Nigel came 2 hours before and he was just practicing, and he came 2 hours before the qualifying practice. You rocked up and you never played these games. Like, you have no right to be in the finals. So he's definitely a deserving winner. And
so what's really interesting about Nigel, who won? Nigel, the first I saw of Nigel was probably about 6 months ago, and he came. I first saw him. He came along to a Melbourne Silver Ball League final. But he just came to see what the format was like, and then I said hello, and I said, "Do you want to come and join in the next month's comp?" Because it was a selfie league at the time. And ever since then, he's either come second or first.
You've created a monster. This guy is insane.
He's so good. But that's, I guess, the reason why I'm telling that story is that a lot of people out there are like, "Oh, I don't know whether I should go into a competition. I don't know whether I'm good or not." You won't know until you go along. And this guy was saying, "Oh, I didn't know I could play this well." It's like, "Oh, man, you can play that well." His nudging skills on those machines were just
That's why I'm happy with second, because I definitely did. Like, the only way I could have won is if he just had just the absolute worst luck ever. He's 100%, like more than half the people there, are definitely a better player than me. I just got, I think, really lucky. When people played bad, I played average. And I don't know, maybe that's a tournament strategy. I could just don't play bad, just don't play horrible.
But you had fun.
I had fun, and the silver lining out of coming second is the trophy for second was infinitely better than the trophy for first. So Marcus had an old play field. I've forgotten the name of the play field. Hollywood. He got donated by someone. It was a junked playfield. He cleaned it up, and he's basically cut the playfield up into pieces, and he's going to use it. He's got 7 years worth of trophies, and the first trophy was like a flipper and a sling, and it lit up. The flipper didn't work, and the second trophy was like a V for victory. I'll post a picture in the show notes. And I spent about an hour yesterday with the kids because it has about 12 insert lights, and we're just changing it to different color combinations. Because I'd love to change LEDs with my kids, but it's too dangerous and stuff. But this is
you got to practice.
Yeah, I've got a little practice thing here, so that's enough about that.
Awesome, well done. You've beaten me again. So I think we are now, because I know you haven't updated the site. I think we're now at
3 to me.
Is it 4-2? Might be 4-2.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you're beating me, and I'm happy to say right now you are a better player than me. See, I'm a big enough guy. I can say that.
You're saying that so that when you beat me, you can.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You're ranked at like 20 in Australia, Marty. I'm ranked. I looked up my IFB ranking today. I'm 9,000th in the world. So.
Oh, that's cute.
a bit, I got a bit to go.
Okay, and what else happened this week?
Well, if one stream wasn't enough, last night on Sunday, you messaged me and you said, we're streaming AFMR tonight, Attack from Mars remake, and I've been waiting for you to send me that message for like 2 months. It's been sitting there for 2 months, and I didn't want to play it during the day. The only way to play it at night is for a stream, so we did it, or you did it, and I tagged along.
Well, it was a group effort, but yeah, again, our good friend Wayne from Mr. Pinball, I've always just sent him a note saying, hey, how about? And he goes, yep, absolutely. And he actually goes into his place of work to open up to allow us to stream. And we did finally get to play Attack from Mars remake.
Yeah, and just before we get into the game, I love going to Wayne's, Mr. Pinball, because I feel like a little kid going into like a candy store because it's all pinball stuff there, but there's always, like you look at the floor and you see something you've never seen before, there's stuff everywhere. So we get to see a Magic Girl prototype playfield that he just got, which was really cool to see that in person.
Yeah.
He showed us his new LED DMD replacements. So when your dot matrix display dies, you can either buy a brand new one for a lot of money, like a reproduction, or you can buy a color DMD, or you can buy a second-hand one. And in Australia, the second-hand ones go for about 200 Australian dollars. He is selling a replacement that is compatible with all the Williams machines, the Stern machines, and it's, I think, $275, possibly including GST, Australian dollars, which is a pretty damn good price. And he's got it in different colors. And he invited me out back and he said, I'll show you it working. And he hooks it up to this machine. Like, do you know, like in Jurassic Park, like in the
yes.
Park, where they go to that and they find like that control console thing where it looks like 80s test equipment? That's what it was. It was, and I said, what is this? And he said, it's the Williams testing rig they used to use in the factory. I didn't ask him how he got it. I'm guessing it's got to do with him buying the Williams rights back in the day. But it was so cool because it has, you can plug in a board and you've got a lamp, matrix test, a switch test. I took a picture and I'll attach it to the post that I post on Pinside and Aussie Arcade. And I was impressed with that. Now, back to AFM, Marty. What were your thoughts?
So, walking up to the machine, the pictures or videos don't do it justice. It really looks fantastic to look at. The LEDs are brighter. I've always said that with Attack from Mars, the back third of the playfield is quite dark, but this is actually really quite bright. So you can actually see all of the playfield all lit up. It also had the oversized DMD, which is just fantastic. And a lot of people said on that night that kind of should have been the evolution before having to go to an LCD screen, was to actually have these much larger and colour DMDs.
Well, I mean, they're not we call them DMDs, but they are LCD screens.
Yes, they are.
So I don't think the technology was there back in 1999 when they were doing the Pinball 2000. But you're right. You have to see it in person. I can tell you all day long. Marty can tell you. Everyone says it, and you just kind of brush it off. But seeing the animations in high res on that big LCD that's in the shape of a DMD, it's not mind blowing, but it's bloody amazing. Like, it just looks so good, and if you're watching someone play, it's just an awesome experience, and it really brings the machine to life. I played my AFM today, and I've got a color DMD in it, and it might as well not even be a color DMD because it looks so shit. Like, the colors look crap. Like, it looks good. It looks like a movie. It almost looks like a movie. When the alien grabs the woman, it actually looks like a woman now, and not a blocky, weird blob
pixeled
of
mess.
Yeah, pixel mess. So, a note about the LEDs. Marty's right. The LEDs look fantastic. It's bright enough that you can play it without any colors, but they've done some pinball magic on it, and it's not it's not overbearing. I talked about the other day that if you flash inserts in your eye, like inserts in your face, it's so annoying. But it's like they're mimicking incandescent lights in a brighter way. Yeah. And with those big inserts like the cities and the fourth insert on each of the total annihilation lanes, they don't have just one LED. They have like a cluster of LEDs, and it brings the entire insert to life, and it sparkles. I don't know. I sound like I'm in love with this thing. It is the nicest looking, well lit machine I think I've ever seen, and I'm better than all the current Sterns, better than Iron Man, which Iron Man VE probably held that title before, but it looks the best.
And what was really funny was right at the end, we thought, well, let's just do a bit of a comparison. So right next to this Attack from Mars remake was a Medieval Madness remake. And so I saw that moment where you turned that on and we looked at it and we went, oh, that's nowhere near as impressive.
It is weird. I mean, I think the original Medieval Madness remake is more true to the original, but in a bad way. Like, they've improved the lighting and the screen in. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to be true to the classic, you can buy a classic Attack from Mars remake.
Yep.
But if you see the special edition or the limited edition in person, you'll be kicking yourself. You say, well, I don't need to be true to the original because this version is better in almost every single way.
Yeah, well, we're just saying that we did actually play. It was the special edition, so it wasn't the limited edition, which I believe comes with a trim option. It comes with that fantastic topper, and it also comes with LEDs on the smaller UFOs as well.
Didn't you already have them? Or no, okay.
Not on that. But it's got really nice coloured LEDs around the main UFO, which looks pretty impressive as well.
And it's just, I mean, as I said, I've got an Attack from Mars at home, and it was just nice to see like brand new everything. For a pinball machine that I stare at a lot, when you see like nice light shining from underneath the ramp, and the ramp is just perfectly clear. It's not smoky. It's not nothing. It's just like this beautiful. I don't know. I was in love.
It looked absolutely amazing. The only thing that's been a bit of a criticism on this, as far as the lighting goes, has been the lights when it comes to strobe multi-ball. And I gotta say, I probably do agree to some extent in that it's not as dramatic as the original, but it's still pretty good.
Well, I think there might have been an update to address that, and I don't think Wayne's was on the, Mr. Pinball had it on the latest firmware, because I did see a post where they said they rectified it through an update, and it's just an option. But I mean, even if maybe it was enabled, you had a big light box shining in your face, so there's absolutely no way you would. You need complete darkness to get the full effect of strobe multi-ball. You can't even have a machine on next to it because it provides too much light. You literally have to have every machine off to get the full effect. That's amazing.
That is specific location arrangements to get the full effect, though.
Well, just have it at your house and close the blinds and watch it.
No, all I'm saying is that there is there is certainly a noticeable difference between the strobing lights of the original versus this.
Yeah, because it's not a strobe light; it's an array of LEDs,
That's right. Yes.
and not an actual strobe circuitry board. But I mean, I think you can do the same effect with LEDs. You just have to get the right conditions and increase the power to the LEDs.
Yeah.
The other thing that people may notice, and there was some discussion about this with kind of tournament players, is the flipper angles or something is different than the original, and I couldn't adjust the entire night.
No.
You obviously could adjust. Well, you're going to say no, I couldn't, but you put up a score of 19 billion, so you can lie all you want.
I did, but I still found it very difficult to hit the center shot. It's such a weird angle. It was really early on the flipper, much earlier than on the original, and even then you just weren't guaranteed to get a center shot. It was so much harder than the original.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up having some okay games, but I couldn't hit. I mean, the shot that I always go for is the lock shot, and I almost had to accidentally get it in there or get it spotted from the scoop, a mystery award, because I've got it. You don't realize these things until you play them, but I've got that shot like programmed in my head. I know it sounds a bit wanky, right? But I've played Attack from Mars enough that I know where the ball needs to be on the flipper when it's rolling down to hit the lock shot, and I couldn't untrain my brain in the couple of hours I was there to actually hit it. Now I do believe that you can adjust that, but I was reading about it a bit today. Tim Sexton had a post up about it, and Bruce and Ron were talking about it on the Slam Steel podcast, and I think it just comes down to the thing that was interesting was I had a Medieval Madness, and I really enjoyed it. And then I had a Medieval Madness remake that I was lent to me by Daniel, and I couldn't get into it, and I didn't know why. I just thought, this doesn't play the same, and it just must be the lighting, or I can't get good flow. I couldn't hit left ramp, right ramp. I couldn't get that flow. And now I'm like, well, maybe that's why. Maybe the flippers are just that tiny bit different that it threw me off, and I could never adjust.
And that's what I was saying to you was I don't actually think it's just the angle of the flippers. I don't know whether they're using the different mechs or different coils. It just I was trying to in my mind think of it today and go with me on this, but think about a golf game that you would play on a video game system. Where you go to do a stroke and you've almost got that arc that goes over to show you the power, but it gets faster at the end and then comes back slow, and faster at the end and then comes back slow. That's what this flipper felt like, in that when you got towards the end of the flipper, you had more control over the angle, but towards the base of the flipper, you really had to nail your shot, and you had very little room to get it wrong.
I can't agree or disagree with you because I have no idea what you're talking about.
People that play golfing games or other games where you've got like a power bar or a power meter that goes up, but it goes up and then goes fast and then slow, will know exactly what I mean. It doesn't feel like the ball going down the flipper has a linear amount of angle and power on the flipper. It feels like when you get towards the end of the flipper, there's more control.
The thing is, me and you are going to be a lot fussier than other people. And I think 95% of people that buy this machine would never notice, right? They would never notice. So it's not a deal breaker at all because, one, I said you might not notice. Two, if you do notice and it feels off, I'm pretty sure you can just adjust the angle where the flippers sit. And that's
what I'm saying. I think it's more than just the actual angle of the flipper. I think there's something to do with the flipper mech itself. That
we can buy the whole flipper mech. It probably costs like $100.
Yeah,
if you're spending $12 grand on a pinball machine.
But every single person that played it on last night on the stream, that's the Melbourne Silverball League Twitch page, all said that it felt completely different to any other Attack from Mars that they played.
Okay, but people then said that Medieval Madness feels the same. And I've never heard anyone. Well, I mean, I was researching it today and I saw some posts about it, but no one has ever told me that it felt different. I mean, maybe it did feel different, but they couldn't put their finger on it. But no one. I mean, has Daniel ever said, "Hey, my Medieval Madness, like it doesn't feel right"?
When I played Medieval Madness, I thought that the flippers felt stronger than the original, but the angles were still the same. These flippers feel stronger, but the angle of how you pick your shots is just not the same.
Yeah. As I said, we're putting a bit of a negative spin on the pinball machine, but our overall feel of this pinball machine was that if you like Attack from Mars, or if you're looking for a new pinball machine, you don't need to go for. I mean, why do people go for new pinball machines? Because the LCD and this has an LCD and this has proven software and it's 20 years old.
Yeah.
And there's no bugs, there's no scoring exploits. It is a perfect competition pinball. It is fast as anything.
It is so fast and so bouncy. Like the new rubbers on it, I actually found that I couldn't control the ball. I couldn't do live catching or dead catching as much as I could on any other machine because of the fresh rubber on it. It just was a lot more uncontrollable, and that's what I don't think is a negative. I think what I'm saying is that if you want this to be exactly like Attack from Mars that you're going to be... I'm not going to say that you're going to be disappointed, but it's not going to be that same thing. You will need to adjust how you play this game because it does play differently, but I think it plays better.
Well, I haven't played Attack from Mars, my Attack from Mars for a while because I've been getting so many new pinball machines, and I played mine today, and... Because you were saying, this is fast, this is so fast.
I did say that quite a bit.
Okay, my Attack from Mars is faster, okay? Because I think I've cranked it up to such a high angle. But I mean, I rewatched the clip, a bit of some footage from yesterday, and we'll link that in the show notes. And it was fast, but I think the flipper strength was on the default.
Right.
I think if you cranked up the pinball machine to the angle that I have it at and adjusted the flipper strength to... strong, then you would have an even faster machine because it's clear coded. There would be absolutely no resistance. Well, I mean, not no resistance, but there'd be less resistance for the ball to glide across the playfield. So I think you can set it up faster than mine, but yeah, mine's pretty fast too.
Well, what I've always liked about Attack from Mars is it's never really ever been a safe game, particularly in tournaments. But the flippers themselves have always felt predictable. Predictable meaning you can do a drop catch, pretty consistently, and you can do a live catch consistently, and you can do a dead bounce over pretty consistently. This was a little bit more unpredictable than on what I'm used to with an Attack from Mars. The playfield itself was the same as far as how the geometry goes and how it all bounces on. But I'm just saying the flippers themselves felt very different to all the other Attack from Marses that I've played.
Well, surely you can just change the two flipper rubbers.
You've got basically what I'm saying is you've got choice. You can either adjust it so you can get it as much as you like to the original, or even better, you can have a new experience with Attack from Mars.
All right, just to close it off, Marty, if you had an option, Attack from Mars or Medieval Madness, the same amount of money, and you could have only one in your house, which one would you choose?
Attack from Mars. But that's not necessarily a good comparison because I don't like Medieval Madness. I never have.
Because of what they call the theme,
I love the theme, and I love the fact that it's a humorous pinball. I love that. I've just never really been a fan of the layout. I've always felt that the layout was, oh god, here we go, similar to what I was saying with Dialed In that everything is exactly where it needs to be, therefore it doesn't surprise me.
So Marty's saying that Medieval Madness is perfect, so he doesn't like it.
Well, I like things to be just a little bit quirky and surprise me. And the fact that I love Medieval Madness and playing it because it's got Tina Fey in it, and then who wouldn't love that, right? But of those two machines, I'd pick Attack from Mars. I'd pick an Attack from Mars original over a Medieval Madness original. Okay. And absolutely in this case, and it's what I was saying on the stream, is I think that with Medieval Madness, and you said it before, with Medieval Madness, they've done a very, very good modern recreation of an original pinball. I think with Attack from Mars, they've just tried to improve it a little bit, and I think they've been very successful.
Yep, and I can't wait to see what's, I mean, we shouldn't be looking at what's next yet because this is just, in Australia just coming out. But I can't wait to see what improvements they can make on other games like Cactus Canyon and Monster Bash.
Well, isn't Monster Bash rumored to be the next one?
I believe so. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's either Cactus or Monster Bash, but I heard some rumors recently, some information saying that it will most likely be Monster Bash. But
okay, Ryan, what would you take? Would you take Cactus Canyon or Monster Bash?
I've played Monster Bash enough that I'm sick of it.
Okay.
I'm guessing that Monster Bash is a better game than Cactus, so I haven't spent that much time on Cactus.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, but it's one of those things where I played. I mean, you met Dave. He's the guy who introduced me to pinball.
Yes.
He had a Circus Voltaire and a Monster Bash next to each other, and I used to go over and I used to ignore all his Stern pinball machines. And I used to just play them all night long, like 5-6 hours straight, just going from one to the other. And he went to sell both those pinball machines, and he said, which one? Do you want one of them? Because I didn't have enough money to buy both. And I said, okay, I'll take Circus. I like Circus more, and it was cheaper. But I played Monster Bash so much, I put up such big scores that I was just sick of it. And I did get it again, so I've had it in my house, and I play the exact same game every single time. I try and start as many monsters as I can, and then I shoot the left ramp as many times until I get multi-ball, and that's the only way I can get to Monster Bash. And so I just got bored of playing the exact same way. For me, there's no variety in gameplay, strategy. It's literally just doing that, just starting as many as you can and getting multi-ball. That's boring to me.
Well, rules-wise, Attack from Mars isn't any more complicated than that.
But it's fun to shoot. It's just so much fun.
Okay, so that just comes down to personal preference.
Okay.
But if they did make, I know we're probably clutching at straws here, but if they did make Monster Bash and similar to what they did with Attack from Mars, where they made it just slightly different enough so it felt like a new experience, would that get your interest?
No.
Okay, good. Moving on.
I'm done with really expensive pinball machines. And I'm in everyone loves Monster Bash. I'm in the minority here. But as I said, I've just played it enough that it's not exciting to me. Whereas Attack from Mars, I played it heaps. And because it shoots well, it doesn't need to be exciting because the shot satisfaction is through the fucking roof.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway.
Understand. I love Attack from Mars, and summary is, this is just a little bit better.
Okay, 20 minutes later. That's the end.
But it's a big deal. So, but also, you know what, we said last week, we don't have anyone that sponsors this podcast, but if you want an Attack from Mars remake, go to mrpinball.com.au, speak to Wayne. He's got special editions coming in. I think he may just have sold out of his last LE.
No?
Well,
okay.
You know what? Someone was watching the stream last night, and it was, I'm going to take credit. We can take credit that stream was what got him to come over to Mr. Pinball today, and he has actually, I believe, put his deposit down on an LE Attack from Mars remake. So you're welcome, Wayne.
Checks in the mail.
Absolutely.
Sweet commission. Just to be clear, there's no commission at all.
There is absolutely zero commission whatsoever.
All right. So we got an interesting email this I don't know why you put it in this section.
Because this is what we did together.
Okay, yeah.
We laughed a lot together this week.
Are you going to play it, Marty?
I haven't got it on my phone, but I will insert it into the stream, into the episode.
The email was, Hi guys, I thought I'd be a dick and point out how many times you guys say but. Just in episode 9, evidence attached. And here it is. But, and, but, oh god.
I wanna, this, there is okay. There is so many things that are funny with that recording. One, I think that somebody would take the time to go through episode 9. It was just from episode 9, and take out every time we, but let's face it, mostly me, say the word say the word but. We like butts, and we cannot lie.
I loved it. I literally just, I was drinking water, having something to drink, and I spit it out. It was hilarious. And I messaged you straight away. I'm like, check that freaking email out.
That's hilarious. So that is from Daniel E. And what I said, I love the fact that somebody has gone through. Well, I love the fact that someone listened to our entire episode. That's great. The fact that you've then gone through a second time, and it's not like you've gone through a second time and then every time we've said but, you would have had to have gone through a number of times to do that.
It's 4 hours of his life on one episode.
And then you made a song out of it. That is
thumbs up.
Hilarious. Daniel E., you are this week's favourite Head2Head Pinball Podcast viewer of the week.
Listener of the week.
Listener of the week. Whatever you are.
Unless you're currently streaming yourself right now.
Yeah, but, absolutely. So thank you, Dan.
It was
That's
funny
hilarious.
because in his follow-up email, he was a bit worried that we might take offense to it. Yeah, unless you guys have figured, if you haven't figured out already, that we don't take ourselves seriously at all. So if you have more
at
of
all.
that, just send it our way. We are happy to be ridiculed in the spirit of good humour.
It was one of the things that we've said is that there's lots of seriousness in the pinball community, and we've obviously had to talk about some serious topics, but we've done this because we want to talk about news and we want to talk about pinball, but the actual reason why we're doing it now is to have a laugh, and that's very Australian of us. We like to take the piss out of a lot of things. I hope that phrase translates. So we do not take this seriously. There is enough people out there taking it seriously.
And we will keep on doing it every week as long as we are still having fun.
As long as we laugh, then we'll be happy. So what happened in your week, Pinball, just on your own, Ryan?
Not too much. I mean, I finally got around to cleaning up Circus Voltaire, and it was half LED'd, half not LED'd, and to me that's worse than having no LEDs, because you have to fix LEDs they have in there. And Circus Voltaire probably is the hardest machine I've ever put LEDs in, because I'm not sure if I sent you a photo of the Ringmaster head. Yeah, you have to remove the entire Ringmaster mech and all the subways just to get to the LEDs, which is really annoying. But that's now complete. I'm happy with the way it plays. Except I maximize the outlanes, and it's still too easy. I don't know how to make this machine harder. I think I have to make it harder through software, and I don't know. I want it to be so hard that I can only get to join the circus every once in a while. But even with the outlanes maximized, it seems to just never go down there on a certain angle. So if you have any ideas on how to make Circus Voltaire really enjoyable for me by making it harder, please send an email through to head2headpinball@gmail.com. I got to play Star Wars LE again on Friday nights. The only thing that we didn't get to do together. I didn't want to invite, because I just wanted to go there by myself and play.
That's quite okay.
Yep. I rang up my friend and I said I'm coming over. He didn't even invite me. I said, I feel like playing Star Wars tonight. And I had a lot more fun on it, even though I had fun last week, because I got to spend a bit more one-on-one time, and I was a bit more intimate with the pinball machine. And I did get to blow up the Death Star, which was quite an event.
Was it? I've only ever seen it, that one time when Keith Elwin did it on the Dead Flip stream. Was it, worth it?
Well,
Or
okay.
was it a bit of a letdown?
It was worth it because every game that I'm playing starts off with the same character. I do the same missions. It's my score exploit configuration that I've figured out. It's not an exploit, but it's an easier way to get points. So every game I'm trying to do the same thing. Now, if you don't blow up the Death Star, you have to finish every single mode and then choose another character and go around the bend again. So I never get that deep into the game. So it was exciting for me because I had Dave there, and you saw Dave the other night, but you probably didn't see him in his full glory. And his full glory is screaming at you, telling you what to do while you play, and that puts a lot of people off. But for some reason, because he's been doing that since I got interested in pinball, since he's the guy who got me into it, it works for me. Him screaming at me makes me play better. And I actually tried to get you guys to do it the other day when I was playing, yesterday when I was playing Attack from Mars. I told James was next to me, invading my personal space as he does. And I said, put me under pressure, get me excited, that's what I need to play better. And he had no idea. He was just no, just hit the shot. I need someone screaming at me. So it was exciting. Victory multi-ball afterwards. I like playing Star Wars. I think it's a really fun pin. I think it's still a pin all about getting a high score, but I'm now that I understand it a bit better, I'm enjoying trying to get a high score, which not many pinball machines can do that. Just Star Trek and maybe now Star Wars. I'm not sure if I get sick of it, but yeah, I like it. I don't think I'd own it, but I enjoy playing it, and I think it's a fun pinball machine.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I said last week, and that I when I did controversially say that I would pick it over a dialed in that I just think it is a bit of a grower, and I think that there's more to come. And against what I was saying, I like to be surprised, and I feel like there are surprises with that game. I'd love to play it again.
Well, since Stern isn't releasing the rumours are not releasing a new pinball machine at Expo, maybe their big reveal is completed Star Wars software with the world's first LCD video mode. What could it be? I reckon it's going to be like it's going to be like Game of Thrones, right? Just in LCD format. So it'll be Darth Vader on one side and Luke on the other side, and you have to I don't know, knock out your arm chopped off or something. I don't know.
I'd love it to be something like the original Star Wars arcade game that came out, that the one that used vector, almost like 3D graphics, where you've just got a target in the middle and you need to move it around to get
the lock shot kind of thing.
Yeah, that's
target,
probably what it is. I couldn't imagine it's going to be anything more than that.
That can be another viewer question. Email in and let us know what you would like to see as a first LCD video mode, because hey, you've got 2 buttons. Well, you got 3 buttons. So what's the most creative thing you can do with 3 buttons?
Exactly. and you know what? You can say it, we'll announce it, and then if they release that video mode at Expo, you can say, well, I called it first. It was you. Yep. They've taken your idea.
Now, lastly, I've got a quick joke, mate.
Oh, God.
I disguise it as a story.
Right.
Just so you wouldn't ask about it.
Is this going to be about anal crap again?
No. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Europe.
Europe who?
No, Europe who. Oh, God. Sorry.
I'm going to edit that out. That's terrible.
No, you're not. You said it.
Oh, that's terrible.
Raising the bar here. Raising the bar.
You really are.
How about you, Marty? What did you get up to this week?
Well, probably only a couple of things. First of all, I was very, very excited to see that finally one of my favourite and, let's just face it, underrated games got a puppet tutorial. And this is roller games. Rock, and roller games.
You can't just say it.
I don't sing. Maybe I'll sing us out. You never know. And Bowen loves roller games, and he was singing the songs, and he was, particularly when you get a jackpot and it does the whole kick butt theme, which is just fantastic. That game is underrated, and I've sort of been on record saying that I love cheesy themes. It is possibly the cheesiest theme that has ever existed in a pinball machine. The music is cheesy, the call-outs are cheesy, the art is cheesy. It's got Thermos as one of the sponsors, for God's sake. It's just...
Thermos is in, like, how you keep your water...
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Go and have a look at it. It's probably why they can't, even though I would love for them to do it on the Pinball Arcade, they probably can't, because they would have to get the rights to Thermos and to Pepsi, which is one of the logos that's on there as well.
I had a friend who offered me a roller game for free. He was just like, I'm going to sell it. Do you want it for a couple of months? I'm like, I'm all right. But now I'm regretting that decision.
The only thing, he didn't really show he kind of did, but my method for getting big scores, he did, but it's very simple call out. You just get your multi-ball, have one ball on your left flipper, one on your right, either get it into the vertical up kicker, which moves it over to the right, or just do loops and just left orbit, jackpot, left orbit, jackpot, keep your ball on your left flipper and just do that over and over, and the scores will go up. It's a great game, and I'm very pleased that they did that. What else is happening? Well, okay, so I stream. I stream from home. I also we do the podcast, and so this week I was kind of noticing. The last time I said to my partner, we're going to stream tonight, it was kind of like, really? And I went, oh, okay. It's now starting to become a problem. So I thought to myself, maybe I need a new house. So instead of maybe I'll stream elsewhere, or maybe I won't stream, or maybe I won't do a podcast, the answer is I'll buy a new house.
I'm going to be an enabler and say, yes, if you're as into pinball as you are, 4 pinballs just isn't enough.
Well, the problem I've got where I live is that I live in a 3-story townhouse, or condo, I think is the word they use in America, which means where you enter my house, you see the pinball machines. I've only got room for 4, and it's on a shared wall with the neighbours. So they don't necessarily complain, but it gets very loud. Plus, the noise of it goes all through my house. So I think it's time to now move. I've been here 18 years. It's probably time to move to a bigger house, and by bigger, I mean a bigger pinball room.
18 years, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I live in a fantastic area of Melbourne.
The other reason, Matty?
What's the other reason?
Well, the MCG.
Well, so I live near the MCG, which is the Melbourne Cricket Ground. And for those people,
huge stadium.
It is a huge sporting and events stadium. And for those people that are listening from overseas, you may have heard of a sport called AFL, or Australian Rules Football. Is that right?
Yep.
Or Australian Football League. And so it is this game that people play where they kick a ball and they score points. I grew up in Sydney, so I grew up with rugby league, so I've never really been into AFL, Australian Rules Football. But you got to understand, I live in Melbourne, we live in Melbourne, and Melbourne is obsessed with this sport. Obsessed, Ryan. Are you obsessed with this sport?
Yep. I've been a paid member for a number of years, and ever since I was 5 years old, I've gone for the team.
It's ridiculous, and you suck, right?
Yeah.
So it is. But I am in the vast, and I mean vast, minority when I say I don't like AFL. The problem is it's probably about a 15-minute walk to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG, which is the biggest, well, it's not the biggest stadium, but it's one of the biggest stadiums that we've had for a very long time.
You can fit 100,000 people there.
Right.
And, there was a match played there on the weekend, and there was 97,000 people or so. So, I mean, it's not like a big stadium that never gets filled. This thing gets filled, and it's insane.
It gets filled, and it gets filled by football fans, and at the end of the night, because my house is just slightly off a bit of a thoroughfare, they walk home from that sporting event and do a detour and urinate on my garage door and then go off. And so every time these events are on, I've got to get the hose out and then hose down urine, effectively, is what I'm saying. So not only do I get to move because of pinball, I get to move because of away from the sporting events. And this weekend coming up is like our Super Bowl. It is the AFL Grand Final. 2 teams are playing. One of them is Richmond, and I live in Richmond. And already Richmond is the suburb is out of control. Just because when was it? 30 years ago, I think they were in the finals.
35 years ago, they were in the grand finals.
You're impressed that I know that?
Yeah, it's been a long drought, and they have an insane amount of supporters that have stuck with them. Yep. And so they're all going crazy. There's bandwagon jumpers. So Marty's at his threshold. So
I need to vacate my area. So if anyone's looking for a place to park their car, you can have my driveway, carport, whatever you call it. But that's another good reason.
Piss on his door.
As long as you don't piss on my bloody garage. Oh, jeez, it drives me nuts. Anyway, so that's why I've decided to buy a new house. Why not? And I can only, it's not just about the noise, I can only fit 4 pinball machines here. So we are now looking at locations that's all about the space in which we can now fit 8 to 10 pinball machines.
8 to 10, Marty. Shoot for the stars. Go for 20.
Oh, you know.
That's out of control.
I've got a marriage to keep intact here, so.
All right.
Anyway.
Should we head to the mailbag?
Let's go to the mailbag.
And you can read them all out because my voice is rooted.
Well, you read the first one because it's a short one. This is from Jeff from This Week in Pinball.
No, I had a lot of respect from Jeff, but
he's awesome.
He just threw it all out the window with his email. Okay. Hello. He said, hello. I'm sorry, Ryan, but I am the second person on the planet that likes the depth version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yes!
Better than the original.
Yes!
Keep up the good work.
Yes!
Jeff, this week in Pinball.
And I've also had other people message me as well saying that they prefer the depth version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
No,
it's true.
All right,
you don't know these people, but they exist.
Okay. If you're so confident, would you like to wager a head-to-head point on it, and people can email in? No? Okay, well, I win then.
Oh, I'm not stupid. I know that's not the popular vote, but it's just very, I went out there last week. I put it all on the line and declared to everybody that I do like the Johnny Depp version, and I was expecting massive ridicule. I did get a message from somebody saying something along the lines that I'm pretty much dead to them because of it. No, they actually no. It was actually somebody that sent me. It was Daniel, our good friend Daniel.
Okay.
Lex, who sent me a picture of. There's a particular gin. Everyone knows I love gin, and it's called Ink Gin, which is a purple gin. And it says on the back of it, "Store in a dark place." And he sent me a picture of that saying, "Store in a dark place, like that awful Tim Burton Willy Wonka movie." And that is the last we've spoken. So, Jeff, you are amazing. Thank you. You keep up the good work.
The next email?
So the next one is from Jason, who said that he's going to be coming down to PAX with his 14-year-old son. So, Jason, we look forward to seeing you. It's a great job on the podcast, gents. It's an informative, open, honest, but light-hearted, and makes me laugh. Thank you, Jason. The main thing is we want to sort of laugh ourselves, and if it makes other people laugh, good luck to us all. He says, on a side note, I love J-pop games. I bought a Totan, that's Tales of the Arabian Nights, and Theatre of Magic in the last year, and they are special, but given his history, it's quite fitting J-pop has teamed up with a company called Deep Root. especially with the meaning of root in Australia. So this is what we're talking about. If you can rewind back to the beginning, so he's actually made his own definition of root. It says root, verb and noun, synonym for fuck in nearly all its senses. For example, I feel rooted. This washing machine is rooted. Or she's a good root. That's why you wanted me
And
to
just not
read it
making
out.
this up. If you go to Urban Dictionary and look up the word
Root.
ROOT, we know how to spell it.
Yep.
It's true. And I thought everyone knew this, so we didn't even make the joke.
No.
But for people listening in the US, deep root literally is like a deep fuck.
Yeah, it is. Deep root, right? So we're laughing at that. We thought everyone thought that it was funny. Why would you call this deep root? It's terrible. But, you know, we say root as in, you know, fancy a root. But mainly what we use it for is, you know, this thing is rooted.
It's beyond repair.
It's broken. It's rooted.
It's rooted.
So, anyway, I it's funny because I just thought that everyone would have got the deep root gag. Anyway.
No,
He also says regards showing love to venues like Pizza and Pinball to make sure they stick around. There's also Pinball HQ at Coogee Diggers in Sydney, run by Norbert, deserves a shout out. Great machines, comps, and Norbert also runs a great course on pinball machine maintenance. He's a great ambassador to the hobby who deserves to do well. Thanks, Jason. And it's true. I've actually been to Pinball HQ at Coogee Diggers, and Norbert does a weekly comp there with a monthly final. And I have also done Norbert's pinball maintenance course.
Really?
Yep.
You just didn't use any of the information though, did you?
I have forgotten all of it. Because, I've said before, I'm a kinesthetic learner. I need to learn when I'm doing something. If you give me a lot of theory, it in one ear, out the other. So I did manage to fix a problem I had with an opto. Like, yeah, you impressed with me? I can even say opto on my Star Trek.
What does it stand for, Matty?
I don't know, optical something.
Optocoupler.
Something like that, optical something.
I think so. I hope I'm not making a
Yeah,
fault.
so you sound worse than me. Everyone's going to write in. Everyone write in and say how crap Ryan is. But Norbert just did this fantastic course. I think it went over, might have even been 2 days. And it was just really thorough. So Norbert is fantastic. Norbert was actually one of the first people I met doing pinball tournaments. He used to go around the country doing tournaments at Supernova, which is kind of like a Comic-Con. And yeah, he is absolutely a massive ambassador for pinball. So big shout out to Pinball HQ at Coogee Diggers. Get up there. I think they've got about 15 machines these days, so it's definitely worthwhile going. And the location is on our on our website at head2headpinball.com.
The next email's from Daniel C.
Do you want to read
You
this
can
one
read
out?
it out? No way.
So he wanted to follow up on his first email. So this is Daniel C. Wrote in a few weeks ago, and we worked out. Well, he was from America, and he had mentioned an Australian group called TISM. This is Serious Mum. So he's followed up. He said, wanted to follow up my first email and the Aussie game episode. Funny to hear oneself mentioned, and that I had to be looked up, as I know more than the average American about Australia. Not sure
more than the average Australian about Australia.
Yeah, he does actually. So not sure exactly why, but I always liked Australia growing up and made it out there as part of my trip for my 30th birthday a few years ago. Triple J is still pretty much on the only radio station I listen to anymore, mostly at work. So he wanted to bring up a talking point about Pinball Arcade. So he was saying, you know, have we played the Zen pinball tables? And if we could make a Zen pinball machine or a digital pinball machine into a real table, what would it be? And he said, you know, Zen obviously has Guardians of the Galaxy, and I know that that's going to be made real. They also have a Bob's Burgers that could be tweaked. What do you think, Ryan? Any sort of digital pinballs that you think that they could make theme-wise into a real pinball?
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty! Well, of course.
Well, I mean, we could dedicate a whole episode on a potential Rick and Morty pinball machine, but since Zen Pinball is the one where they don't follow normal pinball rules. Like they have,
Correct.
like, yeah. So that's the perfect machine for. Well, is there already a Rick and Morty pinball machine? I don't think there is. Yeah, I mean the things you could do and the magic you could pull off with a kind of fake pinball machine. It's got to be Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I think so too. Just on that, I'm not a massive fan of Zen Pinball, and mainly because it's actually not even about the fact that they've got unrealistic things that come out of the playfield. It's more so they haven't really got real physics. It doesn't feel close to a real pinball experience, even though I know it's digital and Pinball Arcade, it's still not digital, but it just doesn't feel natural. It just feels like a video game instead of a pinball.
We should, I mean, have ever surveyed people, because we can sit here and bag digital pinball all we want, but you know, some people attribute it to the resurgence of pinball, and
I do.
You know,
it's what got me back into pinball, and I don't bag all digital pinball. I think Pinball Arcade is absolutely spot on, and even though I haven't played it for a while, you can actually get all the Zachariah pinball machines as well, and the physics on that are pretty good.
You should have practiced Robot on it.
I should have. Well, it plays much better in the digital form.
Digital form.
It's more so that the Zen Pinball and Pinball FX, whatever those ones are, and you know, I've actually even got it on my PlayStation 4 and I play it in virtual reality. It looks fantastic, but just doesn't feel real.
Okay. You've got a virtual reality set up, and I didn't even get to play it the other day.
No, well, you came in and played my pinball.
Still haven't. Okay.
Next time you come up, I will get you to play my PSVR. It is fantastic, and you can get attacked by a shark.
Sure.
Okay, shall we go to our last email?
Let's do it.
Okay. Hi, this is from Daniel. This is from Daniel. This written before, but hi, Martin and Ryan. Still enjoying the podcast, and it's getting better each time. A couple of things I'd like to ask. Firstly, it's about prices, and this is really your avenue here, Ryan. It's about prices of used pinballs in Australia. It's a topic that's very controversial and seems to spark a lot of debate, especially on Aussie Arcade, where someone supposedly asks too much for a pin. Why don't people like to tell others what they paid for a used pinball? Why are people so upset when somebody asks what seems to be a higher price? Two of my pins were priced at thousands more than I eventually bought them for. Both of these owners were prepared to barter and lower their price. I know some people won't at all and have to cop flack and be faced with the prospect of not selling the pin until the price is aligned with what the same pinball has sold for previously or recently. I suppose price comes down to a few factors. One, if there is a precedent, meaning that the same pin has sold recently, the popularity and desirability of the pinball, the condition, obviously, whether it's restored, shopped, or just serviced, and whether it's got LEDs, mods, and extras relatively to the previously sold pin. And that if the person really wants to sell it. What are your thoughts on people revealing prices?
Revealing like what they paid for something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a mistake. I mean, I did it a lot, you know, in the first couple of years of my pinball collecting, and then what you find is then when you go to sell it, people you almost have to sell it for what you got it for or what you put into it, and people, you know, view it in a negative fashion if you put $500 on there because of appreciation of you know, the pin title. So I just don't tell people anymore because it's annoying, because you can sell 10 pinball machines for the exact same prices as you got it for, and people will pat you on the back and say, hey, you're a really good guy. And then you overpay for a pinball machine because you really want it, and then you lose $1,000. And then what? I mean, if you sold those other pinball machines for what they could actually get, then, you know, you might be on top or you might be equal, but you can't win on every pinball machine. So I don't think it's a good idea to tell people what you bought the pinball machine for, especially in Australia, because Australia's a small community, and
yeah,
people can easily track the origins of the machine and who the previous, like my Attack from Mars, someone said, oh, you bought it off this guy, he bought it off me, and this guy had it before, then he restored it, and I know like the last 5 people that have owned the pinball machine and what they've added to each one, and I'm not sure if that happens in the US as well, but yeah, I think just sell the machine for whatever you want, and if people get offended by it, then too bad, like big deal. And it's some people that don't want to move on the price of pinball machines. Well, then they don't sell. There's no point in getting upset about it. There's a Bally BMX pinball machine that's trying to be sold, and it was listed for $7,000, and it was in a non-working condition, and it was at that price because it was rare, and it was just a shitstorm. And I didn't bother reading half of it because it's the same thing every time. Someone makes a comment saying, "Oh my gosh, like, are you kidding yourself? You don't get that much," and then the owner gets defensive and. He says, like, you better watch your back. I don't know. I just think it's just human beings being human beings, basically. So it's a physical object that you're selling for whatever someone will pay for it.
Yeah, but what's really interesting is that I know that there are people. Well, actually, you know what? You were a victim of this, where someone put up a machine for what they thought was a good price, and then realised that they could have sold it for $2,000 more. So some people don't know what a game is worth, and that's when people pounce and they get lucky. But there are also people that put up machines that and let's take that BMX one out. There are people that are advertising machines that just by looking at the pictures that they are not worth what's being advertised.
I just saw a Hook pinball machine come up for $4,000. That is not... Almost in any condition, Hook is not a $4,000 pinball machine.
No, can we just say categorically, everybody, Hook is a terrible game.
Did you know that I've owned that? That's the only Data East pinball machine I've ever owned.
It's a terrible game. I've played that many times. In fact, I played a very, very good condition Hook at Papa, and it was terrible. And that was the good thing about being a Papa, is that you get to play all these machines in fantastic condition side by side, so then you can really determine what are the good ones and what are real stinkers. And Hook is a stinker.
Does it have the Rufio call out? I don't think so.
What that is?
You haven't seen Hook?
No.
It was such an amazing childhood movie for me, and it was just all about Rufio. Rufio.
No,
and I'm pretty sure when I got it, it didn't have that call out, so I just sold the machine immediately.
I've seen the original Peter Pan. Does that count?
No, it doesn't have Rufio in it. Rufio is like the movie.
Right, okay.
Rufio. Anyway.
It's a terrible pinball machine, so it's not worth anything. On saying that, it's not as bad as Rolling Stone by Stern. Which is the worst machine ever made, just in case I hadn't mentioned that this week. Anyway, what he's basically said, I tell people what I paid for my pins. When I ask others for what they paid, I get a feeling they don't want to say. It's very personal, and some people may want to... Let's say they bought a machine, they've done it up, they put LEDs in it, they spent $200, and maybe they want to make $500. It actually depends on the person. Sometimes you've got collectors that are happy to just flip machines because something goes out and something comes in. But then you've actually got people that do this, I guess, as a bit of a semi-living, where they do it and they flip machines because they want to make money. So,
well, not just that, they might fully strip... I've got a friend who will fully strip down every machine that he gets and clean every individual part, and he will sell it for a little bit more than what he got it, but you can't put a price on like the 20-hour rebuild that he did.
Yeah.
He might make $200 or $300 above what he bought it for. The other reason why I don't tell people exactly what I bought the machine for anymore is that I'm happy to tell them what I bought a really expensive pinball machine for, but if I manage to work out this amazing deal, or like that Adams family that I said, I almost bought for $5,500. If I bought that machine for $5,500, then the next person that wants to buy it off me for $5,500, do you think they're going to sell it for $5,500? Absolutely no way. So I don't want to do all the hard work and not reap any reward and just sell to someone else that's going to do the exact opposite. A pinball machine should sell for whatever someone wants to pay it for.
Yep. It's the whole principles of what value is.
Yeah. Supply and demand.
Absolutely. The last thing that Daniel's just asked, and this will be the final thing we talk about, he's actually said, so second thing, straight down the middle balls. I've watched Martin stream, and he seems to be very successful at saving them, more so than any other player that I've watched online or in person. Oh, Daniel, thank you. It's actually not true. There are so many better people than me at this. He says, I know it's only like 0.2 of a second, but can Martin articulate what he does to save them? Okay. It's what we were talking about before. It's the slap save. When you've got a ball, and it's going to be very hard for me to explain. However, I'm going to try and find a tutorial, not necessarily a tutorial, but an animated video that shows what a slap save is, and I think that it's Deb Flip that did it. But effectively what you're doing, if a ball is coming down the middle and you've got enough time to react, what you're trying to do is move the machine slightly to whichever side it's heading to. And it's called a slap save. So it hits the tip of one flipper, moves it to the other flipper, and you do a 1-2 movement. So left, right, or right, left, and it just slightly moves it from being directly going down to the middle to onto the other flipper, and then you can flip it out. That is a terrible explanation, but it's called a slap save, and I'm going to find some animation.
Just watch the video
that we will put in the show notes for you. But it's called a slap save, and Daniel, I know you in person, so next time I see you, come and speak to me, and I'll show you what I mean. That'll make more sense when I show you. But have a look. It's called a slap save.
Bayside Pinball Club this week.
This Thursday, Bayside Pinball Club, everybody at the Sandbelt. And rumour is they may have a certain limited edition machine there this Thursday. Not confirmed.
It's not at it's at a secret location.
It is at a secret location. We can't tell you, but have a look at Bayside Pinball Club on Facebook for all of us.
Now, a quick viewer topic of the week. We've been talking about movies a lot. Yeah, okay, let's do it next week. All right. My voice is shut as well.
So I think that's all we've got for this week. How's your voice, Ryan?
It's what? Do you want me to sing you out? Do you?
Well, wasn't there in the show notes that you were going to sing me out?
Okay. Well, if you want to find us, jump on our website. We've got all the links there. It's head2headpinball.com. Join us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm starting to post a bit more stuff on Instagram. I'll be posting some pictures throughout the week on there. And if you have any questions or queries, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com. Now, I can't believe you got to make me sing it.
And
great game, fast, and challenge.
And just on that, we are also going to be having more competitions coming up. So thanks to everybody that entered the competition this week, and stay tuned. We will have more soon.
Yes, next week we've got a prize organised that someone generously donated from Aussie Arcade, and we'll get to that next week. But just sing us out. My voice is so far.
I don't know what to expect.
I like big butts that I can't. You other girls can't deny. When you see you in a mirror. I don't even know the rest of the lyric. You get sprung. Oh, my voice is so bad. Oh, gosh. That's enough. See you guys.
I now know what ILBB in the show notes means.
Yeah.
All right.
Who meant to sing us out? Okay, Marty.
No, I got nothing. I'll see you next week.
Come on.
No,
All right.
nothing.
All right, see ya.
Bye.